Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to our Day 2 live forum. We are joined tonight by our early childhood presenters. We hope that you are enjoying the summit. We are definitely enjoying all of the presentations that we've been watching and just seeing all of the traffic and all of the comments and hearing from all of you how much you're enjoying the content. So we hope that you are on with us tonight. And if you're watching a replay, we welcome you to the replay. This video will be up for quite a while, so you'll be able to see it later and join in the conversation in the comments. We will answer later as well. So feel free to comment, ask questions even after the fact if you're watching on a replay. So tonight we have the pleasure of so many great presenters joining us. We have Mary Ellen Mons, our founder, and we have several other AIM faculty members who we're so happy to have with us tonight. So we have Liz Goodman, Sally McDonald, Heidi Tussing, and Daniel Ocampo, who are all our early childhood faculty. And we're joined by Melinda Cropsey, who's our guest tonight. We're so happy she could join us. And we are just looking forward to this conversation and hearing about all of your presentations even more. So the way we'll structure is just like last night. So Candace, our executive director, will take the stage and she will facilitate and be the moderator and ask some questions. And we will all be able to collectively chat about early childhood Montessori education. So Candace, take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're so excited that you're here and that we get to do this. We are going to jump right in and start talking about Mary Ellen's presentation, The Universality of Montessori Education. And I have a question that I'm really excited to hear everyone's opinion and thoughts about. So if you have any thoughts or opinions, then go ahead and post those in the comments as well. So my question for our team tonight is, there's so much changing within the educational landscape, and there's so much integration of new technologies and methodologies. How do you see Montessori education balance innovation with the traditional Montessori principles? And I would love it if you had some real-life examples of how this successful integration of modern tools works within your own classrooms. Who wants to go first? Mary Ellen, what are your thoughts?
The first thing I'm thinking of is, oh my gosh, not that many years ago, I was at a very large Montessori conference, and all the teachers were supposed to put a dot along a timeline of whether they really didn't like using technology in the classroom or whether they were comfortable with it. And the majority of the dots were down with people didn't know the technology and they weren't comfortable with it. And we are one of the pioneers in taking Montessori virtually. And we have had tremendous success with the Age of Montessori and now AIM in reaching populations with Montessori training that otherwise wouldn't have it. Because if you don't have a training center in your town, you're kind of out of luck. And so I feel like we've managed to wed the real in-person, the process of presenting lessons, of having lectures and getting feedback from our students in a way that is very unique, and it has been very appropriate. And I think it's worked really well. So I'm grateful that we've been able to do it.
Yes, I am as well. What about some of you that are still in the classroom on a day-to-day basis? How do you integrate technology, or do you integrate technology into your day-to-day? I mean, is that just not something that is in your school yet?
I can go.
Yes, I would love that, Daniel.
Well, it depends on many things. Of course, the first thing that technology brings is the screen, right? And I think the screen is really useful to enrich the vocabulary, for example, for children, and to present a concept. Very short videos presenting activities. So if you have a circle sign about a space, there are very nice videos, for example, on YouTube, and you can talk about space for like 5-10 minutes. So when it comes to technology, it depends on how much use you give that to the classroom. So, for example, in my classroom, I use my tablet or my iPad just to show concepts, teach them concepts with videos I find online that are really useful they'll let you know about space or diversity or about any subject. It's just really useful. But I won't go more than 10 minutes. More than 5 minutes. I don't go that far. I just show the video with some. So that is really useful to just introduce a new concept or a new idea. And I think technology is really useful. Also, for us as teachers, we can use technology also to do our record keeping. There are many websites or apps that are available for teachers to just keep the record keeping at all the lessons that you present to children. So I think technology, it does work really well. And also, and you can also use technology in your lessons, lessons about how to build a robot, for example, very simple. How to do coding, I think, is important in the day and age. I think it's really important for children to start working on skills that they will need for the technology that's coming, like all the coding, all the programming, the AI technology. That's all where children need to be prepared. Our job as teachers is to prepare children for the environment, for the world, and they are going to be exposed to all that technology. Why not to expose them in a Montessori way in a classroom, right? So that's my take on technology.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Daniel. It's a wonderful way to introduce concepts or ideas, especially from places around the world. We can show the children, for example, a couple of years ago when we studied China, showed an example of a dragon dance. And sometimes a video is much more than a book or another way to introduce that concept. So it's a great way to bring the world to the children in short snippets. And I have to say that when I first started teaching in the classroom, there was a computer in the classroom, and it wasn't long before I took the computer out of the classroom because I think because they've become so much more common at home, children have access to tablets at a much younger age, that I feel like they're really not missing anything. And in fact, by taking it out of the classroom, they're probably exposed to more things, perhaps like sewing or practical life activities or hands-on music or hands-on science, really getting all the senses involved in their education, which sometimes technology can be limiting in that way.
Well, it's been a little while before I've been in the classroom, since I've been in the classroom, but I gotta say I did not use a lot of technology in the early childhood. It was more when I moved into elementary that it was more likely that I would be showing a video. Again, if it was a study of continents or great stories or something like that. But one of the schools that I worked for did use Brightwheel to communicate with parents, which was a really great way to share with them about their child's day. So we would post pictures on there, tell them about how their day went, or if they had a nap or not, just so parents had that information, because there wasn't enough time when we had pickup in order to have all those communications with them. But I know they appreciated having pictures and knowing a little bit about their day. Plus, it's a great segue then for them to have a conversation with their child about their day rather than just how was your day? Because children that young don't know how to answer that. And so they had some more concrete questions to ask their children. Like, I saw your photo working with another friend. What friend did you work with? What work did you do? That kind of thing. So
I can say that as a parent, my kid's teacher uses, it's not Brightwheel, it's one of those apps. And I love it when I get pictures of the kids throughout the day. Then it does enhance our interactions at home that night, because I can say, oh, I saw this picture, like, you're so awesome. Like, tell me about your speech. Or if I can't be there during a speaking assignment or something, then I can see it. And I love that. So, kind of a follow-up question. I liked how you talked about the importance of technology with communicating with parents. So last night with the infant toddler group, we talked a lot about the importance of including and educating parents in Montessori principles. in your opinion, how can Montessori educators better engage and educate parents about the Montessori method to kind of help with the consistency between home and school?
I could talk a little bit about that and my experience just as a teacher as well as being a parent of a Montessori student. One of the things I loved that the school that my children went to was that they would have an open house, and it was usually like within a month or so after school started, and we would just go and follow our child around for the few hours where they would show us some of their lessons, and then we'd sit down for a gathering with the parents, and the teachers would explain some things about what was going on in the classroom. It really gave a hands-on view into the philosophy of the classroom, but also being able to see some lessons.
Yeah, I love that.
I was
Yes.
going to add too, Heidi, because that's the school that I had the pleasure of working at. They would do that too. We had parent night. So the parents would come and be able to see the works on the shelf, and they would be able to see what their child did. And in my presentation, I address parent communication because it is absolutely important. There are blogs that we can share with parents. There's videos that we can share. There's ways that we can help them to integrate Montessori at home. So in the course, we talk about the Montessori Madness book, and it is a great tool that parents absolutely should read. It is a great way for them to understand what Montessori does for their child. So there's a lot of good tools that we can implement and help the parents understand the Montessori method.
I was just going to add that Liz and I have done some parent workshops in the past, and because the approach to social emotional learning that we have adopted is relatively unique, actually very unique, and kind of cutting edge as far as the science that supports teaching kids to really see their hearts as an alternative source of wisdom at such an early age. When parents come to the workshops, they're just really blown away by not only is it a cute little story and a fun practice, but once they understand it, they adopt it and take it home. And that I think that's a really powerful way to enhance any aspect of the child's education is when it's reinforced at home. So educating the parents, especially when you're trying something that's groundbreaking, I think is a really important piece of it. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, I think that collaborating with parents is one of the most important things in Montessori education. And one of the things when I worked in administration at a Montessori school we did was we would have like coffee and conversation once a month and allow parents to come in. And we would sometimes give presentations, although teachers are really busy and sometimes it's a lot to ask them to do. But we actually at AIM will send our faculty out to you to do parent presentations and education nights. We just did one for Waco Montessori in Texas. And so that can be really enlightening for parents to really learn about the Montessori method in an approachable way so that they can integrate it with their children at home. It's very powerful when it becomes kind of embedded in not just their life at school, but their life at home. And the parents are building upon what you're doing in the classroom. So that can be a great way to truly engage your parents in the learning process.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Once they're connected to it and understand Montessori or whatever it is, our, social emotional curriculum, if parents are speaking the same language, so to speak, at home as we are at school, then it's so much more impactful to the children.
I could add one thing too, and it's like Montessori. Just invite your parents to observe. Okay, that's the best way to learn, and that's what Montessori recommends. Just observe. So invite your parents to observe your classrooms. That also gives you transparency of what your curriculum and how your teaching style and everything you're doing in the classroom for your children. But yeah, observation I think is the best way to learn to Montessori for parents.
I agree. And we used to have observation windows in every classroom. So it was like a newer building. And the hallways, those first couple weeks of school, were always just full, right, of all the parents of the infant, toddler, and early child. Just in the observation windows, they were one-way windows, so the children couldn't see them. And it was such a great way. Even I remember standing there when my 14-month-old was in the infant toddler room watching and just being intrigued by what was happening. So that's what made me fall in love with Montessori as a parent. So I think that's powerful.
I love that. That's such a good idea.
You know, there's another way that parents get involved in the school because of what their children tell them or sing to them. And Elizabeth Kaspari told me a lovely story of one of her students that she taught a song that we always teach in our course. Some of you probably have all heard it. My heart tells me what to do, what to do, what to do. My heart tells me what to do. I listen to my heart. Well, one day a father came in, and he was like the CEO of some big corporation. And he said, well, I was on my way to a meeting yesterday, and the song that my daughter had taught me, my heart tells me what to do, was what I sang all the way to the meeting. And he said, I got the contract that I wanted. And he felt like it was because he had that connection to his heart. And I just thought, oh, how lovely. So, you know, we don't always know even the ways that our work is communicating through the child to the parents.
That's so true, Mary Ellen. I've had parents say, we've learned so much from our children what they come home with. So,
well, you know, when I go out and visit interns, which I hope I will start doing again soon, I usually offer to the school that I'd be happy to do a parent workshop or a weekend seminar or something along those lines. And I well remember when I went down to visit Daniel in Medellin, Colombia many years ago and did a whole weekend there. And, you know, this kind of activity brings the parents in and sometimes brings a larger community that want to know more about Montessori, but they haven't had the opportunity.
I guess we're going to have to go back to Colombia and do some parent things there. Daniel.
Sure, you still got some contacts down there, Daniel.
Not me, yeah. I'm in. I love that.
We all have to have our passports ready all the time, guys. I'm going to change topics a little bit. I kind of want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart as a reading specialist. I loved Heidi's presentation, and I would love to hear from all of you. What are some of your favorite books that you use in the classroom to introduce multidisciplinary subjects with your students? Or they can just be some of your favorite books too.
Well, I can go because I love books. So I was thinking about this, and it's not necessarily really a multidisciplinary subject, but one of the favorite lessons I ever did with students in the early childhood classroom was from the book, The Best Part of Me. And it's a book where students are talking about various parts of themselves and what their favorite part and why that's their favorite part. Like my hair, I love my hair because it's curly and things like that. And my youngest son was a student at that time, and maybe that's why it's special to me also, but his favorite part was his feet. And then so all of the students, we'd take a picture of their favorite part. So my sons were the feet, some people the eye, their hair, and then wrote a little poem about that. So I don't know what it is for me, but just something about books give me some kind of inspiration for lessons. So it isn't necessarily a multidisciplinary subject, but like I could pick up just about any book and figure out a lesson that I could do in an early childhood classroom or in an elementary classroom either that could be valuable for a student. Anybody else inspired by books?
So I don't have a specific example, but I just want to say that I connect with that because I stayed home with my kids from the time my son was 6 months old till he went to kindergarten about 2 years ago. And I also love books so much. And I kept buying books for my kids. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these books? And so I created A to Z book-based preschool curriculum just for them, just while I was home, and I did a little bit of things with it, but I don't have time for that now. But when you say you can pick up any book, Heidi, and create something out of it, I just connect with that because I have lists of books for all different topics.
Yeah, I love that. That's like exciting for me. I would love to be your student.
I just wanted to say that I also love The Best Part of Me. That's a beautiful book, and we use that in the Breadcrumbs curriculum. And there's another really great book called I Like Me. And the thing I love about this book is I don't think there's much in our culture that supports children having a really positive dialogue with themselves about and learning to support themselves when they feel down, to sort of pick themselves up. And this book follows a little pig whose best friend is herself. And when she falls down, she picks herself back up again. And when she wakes up in the mirror in the morning, she looks in the mirror and says, "Hey, good looking." And we pass a mirror around the classroom when we enjoy this lesson. On positive self affirmations and stuff, and the kids have a chance to see how it feels, and to just look yourself in the mirror and say, "I love you," or "You're beautiful," or "Have a great day," or whatever. And we talk about that and encourage them to see if they do feel a little uncomfortable about trying to maybe practice at home when they're brushing their teeth or whatever, just looking at themselves and smiling and just getting comfortable with the whole notion of self-love. And so anyway, I Like Me. It's great.
Is that by Nancy Carlson?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just pulling links really quickly and posting them in the comments in case anyone wants to take a look at it.
I could add something about books. Not a specific books, but there are three important moments in the classroom when it comes to books. There is the first one when you tell a story, when you read the book to the kids at table time or individually, however you do it. That's you modeling how to read a book, right? That's the first. The second one is when a child reads to you a book, having those simple books like primary phonics or whatever it is, your books resources that you have. So that's another moment. And the third moment is when the older child or kindergarten go and reads to a younger kid. So I've seen that happen every year when I'm in the classroom, and that's just beautiful to see. Every stage just coming through, and just seeing them reading to younger kids now, driving the classroom, they're doing that now. It's just very rewarding. And also by doing that, you encouraging the younger kids to read. Say, "Man, I want to read this book. I want to be able to read," right? So they're already projecting themselves to what they're going to be doing in 1-2 years, or maybe just in a few months. So that's another aspect of reading that is really important. And books are so important, vital for the classrooms.
When you said just a few months, it reminded me of a student I had at a school that I ran in Barrington, Illinois. And this little girl was 4 years old, and she had never been to any kind of a school before. And she came on the first day. She said, "Teach me to read." I said, "Okay, I will teach you to read." And at the end of the day, she says, "Well, I don't read yet." And so I said, "Oh, don't worry, we'll get it." And within about 3 weeks, she was reading. I mean, she just absorbed all the language lessons that I gave her, but she knew exactly what she wanted to do. Like Daniel is saying, sometimes when they see that model, they know they can do it, and they just need a little help getting there.
I have to say one more thing about reading. And like I said, I'm just really passionate about it. But my kids started a book club together at night, which is, they're wild and they're normally fighting. But at night, I've been sending them to their room a little bit early to have some wind down time. And Andra, my daughter, has been reading to my son. And then she makes him kind of discuss the book and talk about what they've been reading. And it's such a good moment for them to have together after what is often a chaotic day. They just get to come together, and she reads to him, and then they talk about it. It's so cute.
And you modeled it.
To piggyback on that, Candace, it's also when you're to build that connection, right? So your children are building that connection, but then you're in a classroom full of 20 or 25 children, and reading can really build a connection between an individual teacher and a child, but also a whole group of children. And, you know, like Heidi mentioned, just, you know, a springboard into a lesson. You know, we read a version of Stone Soup this past week in our classroom, and then we got into cooking, and then cooking leads to math, and then, you know, and then all those activities, and then also bringing it home to the parents and explaining what we're doing, and had everybody sharing food. So it can really inspire a whole cascade of wonderful connections, community, and learning too.
Okay, I have a question that, again, kind of dovetails with what we've been talking about. But how do you strike a balance between promoting individual learning experiences and fostering group interactions, especially when you're talking about a mixed age classroom? I mean, we talked about that with reading. I love that idea. But what specific strategies or activities have you found to be effective in your classrooms?
Well, I think just one thing is encouraging the older children to be role models in the classroom and helping the younger children. And that in it of itself fosters learning for everybody. So, you know, that's one way. I don't know if that's the first thing that came to my mind when you mentioned that.
I can add to that one. It depends on many things when it comes to children interactions. Every child is different, and every child is in a different stage. Every child has different social skills. So, not when children come to the classroom, especially when they are very young, 3 years old, 2.5 maybe, they might not be ready to form those, to socialize much. Okay, when you start a school year, in my perspective, and that's what I suppose in what I presented in the presentation, is that first you got to work on that mastering of individual work, okay, or independent work, and get that child completely adjusted to the classroom, and have that child have that rhythm of working lesson after lesson, and getting to know the environment and start understanding how things work in the classroom. When that is mastered, then there is opportunity to start bringing more other children into more interactions together or having lessons together. But I think before you go to jump in the classroom to have social interactions a lot could backfire, because maybe the child is not ready or doesn't have the social skills to interact with other children. And what happens is that those kids, for example, the kids become such good friends who are so attached to each other that your child will prefer to hang out with this other child instead of just going and do some work in the classroom. So it's a hard balance to maintain in the classroom. That's why you always need to observe who is your child, which children can match together, which personalities can match together, can work together. So it's a lot about observation, knowing who are your children, knowing what social skills they have, and then bring the right environment or the right moment to create those interactions. And then you have the use of the role models. Of course, the kindergartens, returning students are the best to start those interactions because they are already ready. They already got the social skills and they know how to interact with the younger ones.
We hear about observation again. We talked about that extensively last night. So if you want to hear more about it, go back and listen to yesterday's panel as well.
Sally, you had some great tips in your presentation about pairing up children based on their social skills and based on where they were. And I thought that was really cool. So Sally's presentation has a lot of good tips, just what Daniel was saying, like the same kind of thing, like who to pair up, and why it's beneficial to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Pairing a shy child with a more outgoing child will bring the shy child out of its shell and may even bring the more outgoing child, kind of calm them down a little bit more too. So pairing an older child with a younger child, of course, is a great thing to do. Pairing a child that's brand new with someone that's been there a while that follows the structure of the classroom really well, that child will guide the new child that's in the classroom and help them to kind of follow the structure and the standards in the class. So there's a lot of things. I mean, like I mentioned, you can set up cubbies in a certain way so that you can make sure the children are matched up. So you don't have two kids that play together beside each other. So there's a lot of tricks that you can work out that helps the children kind of mesh together in the classroom well.
There is another term that I brought to my classroom too, that is useful for me to get children more engaged in activities and lessons. And it's in the playground, we're friends. We're friends, right? In the playground, we're friends. But when we are in the classroom, we also are friends, but we are more co-workers. So you can introduce a new concept. The children are really good at, if there is something you want to teach, you have to choose the specific word that had the specific meaning for something that you want to create in children's minds. So, so creating that content, we're co-working. So, the energies and all the energies will be just channeled all the way to what they're doing. Okay, we're gonna make this tower the biggest tower of the classroom, or we're gonna get this math addition all done, or we're gonna do the big display together. So everything, the interactions are focused more on teamwork and getting the lessons done, or reaching the goals that they want to have in the classroom.
That's a great idea.
It is. All right, I want to talk a little bit about labyrinths with Liz and Melinda. Melinda, I saw your face light up.
Yay.
So how have you as educators adapted or thought about adapting the concept of labyrinths in your space when you're considering factors like space limitations or age limitations or cultural context? What kind of out of the box labyrinth type ideas and activities have you seen?
I could fill the next hour and change with ideas and stuff. But no, the one thing that's really exciting about labyrinths is that they've been around for over 3,500 years, and they've been found on every continent. And so they really are a very beautiful tool that ties in so nicely with Mary Ellen's talk earlier today about the universality of labyrinths. Like people, they come in all different shapes, sizes, and designs. But they're just an extraordinary tool for. I don't want to go on too much about your question to your question about how they can fit in the classroom. You can either roll up the classroom labyrinth and just bring it out when you want to have a focused lesson around it, or you can have a smaller one or even a larger one, depending on the size of your classroom, available at all times. I mean, I think there's some incredible science just coming out now about just the energetics of having a symbol like a labyrinth in the classroom, and how children associate it with their hearts and with peace and with self-centering and soothing. It can be just a nice sign that this is a place where we take care of ourselves and we're mindful of our behaviors so that we can interact appropriately and be good co-workers, as Daniel said. In the classroom, respectful of our own needs and abilities and those of others that are enjoying the space with us. So, I have used the labyrinth in so many different ways, and I guess I'm trying to I'm trying to think, Liz. What are some of the favorite in the classroom activities that your kids have really, really resonated with them?
Yeah. So I think obviously the obvious one is walking the labyrinth, right? And moving and being able to, it's almost like walking the line in a Montessori classroom.
Yes.
And so just, the peace and the joy that children, and energy that they get from walking the labyrinth is amazing. But you can incorporate it in so many different ways. So I have a large labyrinth rug that I take out, and then to do specific lessons, and I incorporate literature and art with those lessons. But I also have a smaller labyrinth in the classroom that you can put by the peace corner or peace area that you have in the classroom. You can incorporate finger labyrinths in the classroom, and lots of different things that you could do. And also, eventually, children learn to draw their own labyrinth or make their own labyrinth out of different materials. It might be a labyrinth or even just a spiral design, a unicursal design that they can make with the red book, or an art project. And just becoming familiar with that shape is something that can last with them. I've had children stop dead in their tracks, running full speed in the woods, and they'll say, "Look, Miss Liz, there's a spiral in the root of this tree." And so it can be an impressive shape, and children love to draw. One year, children were drawing spirals on every single thing they could get their hands on, it seems. So it just depends on the group of children in front of you, and how it resonates with them.
But grown-ups love labyrinths too, because I know that last year at the residency,
Yes.
in Austin, you took a group to do a labyrinth.
Yes.
What was that? And I know the feedback on that, but can you tell us a little bit about what your feedback was on that and how that helped with the whole experience of the residency?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, when first of all, there's no one way to walk a labyrinth, and it's supposed to represent our own journeys. So taking the group of students, the adult students that were in the residency last summer, was kind of toward the end of the residency, mid to end. And, I invited them to contemplate their Montessori teacher training journey as they walked the labyrinth. And it was a big labyrinth, and to walk in and out at a comfortable, easy pace took us maybe a half hour. And so it's a wonderful tool for everybody. And, I think the feedback was, as they walked, sometimes their pace picked up, or they turned a corner and they could see a lot of people walking in the labyrinth, and then they turned another corner and they were by themselves. So it was a nice reflection of our life's journey, or a particular point in our life. So it can be very spiritual and contemplative for adults as well.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I wanted to pick up for a second on that, Liz, when you were talking. I think the most exciting thing for me in developing the Breadcrumbs curriculum was realizing how much Maria Montessori had really seized on the importance of developing the spirit of the child, and really tapping into and trying to cultivate an environment where they could teach you about themselves and why they were here. And I think having a space that the kids are familiar with, and knowing that when you do take that time out for time in, when you sort of step out of the this, even though you may physically be in the classroom, but when you enter the space of the labyrinth, it's a journey inwards to some and tapping into their hearts. It's almost like having a pop-up sacred site or ritual space available to the kids, and it gives them a sense of security. It gives them a sense of peace and of wonder, really, because I think they are children and adults alike. I think often have perceived insights about themselves or a situation or even something that they're working on, a challenge, that they'll be able to approach it or address it from a different perspective. And I think teaching the kids to enjoy that in the space of a labyrinth is a lifelong gift. So
Absolutely.
Melinda has some beautiful labyrinth rugs as part of the Breadcrumbs curriculum that you can purchase. And she has offered 10% off for conference attendee or summit attendees. So Candace, I don't know if you can link the Breadcrumbs link.
It just did. I already did. We're on the same wavelength.
So check those out. And then Mary Ellen has some beautiful spirit of the child, spiritual preparation of the teacher and child courses that just came out last year that we have that are fantastic as well. So
I'm not fast enough to link those right now, but maybe Jared can grab those and link that for us. I'm keeping an eye on the clock, and I really, really want to talk about Mary Ellen's alignment of Montessori education with the science of reading, because we launched a new course alongside this summit, and we're so excited about it. And Mary Ellen wrote it, and I got to build it, and it's so beautiful and genuine, and I love the way that it makes the connections that it does. So I'm excited to get to share that with the world. I'm sure Mary Ellen is as well. But I'd like to talk about a little bit, Mary Ellen, what you see as the specific challenges or opportunities that arise when we're blending these two approaches.
Well, that's an interesting question. I have been in a lot of Montessori schools where they have a certain thing that they've been shown to do in their training, and that's kind of what they do. And it may not be what children need to learn to read, because statistically, the children in Montessori schools are not all reading at the level that they could be. And I would like to see more of an understanding, particularly of when you look at this whole thing, it starts with vocabulary and background knowledge. And of course, in Montessori, we just steep the children in background knowledge, but they need more. And what they don't often get, there's an understanding, yes, you've got to have phonemic awareness and you've got to understand sounds, but the association of the sounds with the letters is something that I see that doesn't always happen, whether it's in Montessori schools or traditional schools. And so children still, huge numbers are failing to learn to read. So obviously the connection has not been made between what the science of reading can give and what educators around the country are doing. And I have been passionate about reading for most of my adult life, actually. And I've been working on it for many, many years. And when I first started reading the science of reading, and I said, oh my God, Montessori, if we plumb the depths of what Montessori had to say and what she did, we've got it covered. And that was the message I really wanted to give to people. There's nothing lacking if we really look at what the Scarborough reading rope shows, all those segments. I've taken all of those segments and made a unit in the Science of Reading course. And so people can find, oh yeah, we do that in Montessori. We do that in Montessori. We do that in Montessori. So people can just say, yes, I do that already. Let's just be more conscious of what we're doing and maybe up the ante a little bit with some of the basics. My colleague Randall Klein and I have been in hundreds of elementary classrooms around the country, and third graders maybe that can't read. Well, why? They don't know all the letters. They don't know the sounds that all the letters make. They don't know how to take a word and segment it. They don't know how to say cat, at. Well, we ask children to do that when they word build, but have we really taught that skill to make certain they know how to do that when they get ready? And there's just so much in the science of reading that's of great value to people. And I think I just wanted to show how it just merges with Montessori at such a level all the way up through elementary. So it starts with infant, toddler, and vocabulary, and then goes all the way up through elementary. And everybody's going to find something that they like.
You did a beautiful job. You did a beautiful job. It's lovely. And
Thank
also,
you.
one of the things I love about that course is that we give a lot of resources. So there's a lot of printables, there's a lot of lessons, there's a lot of concrete examples of teaching vocabulary and reading and all of the things in that course. And so this isn't supposed to be salesy. I just feel really passionate about that course, and I think it's lovely, and that the whole team worked so hard on it. So.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to add was writing, which the science of reading doesn't really talk too much about writing. And I thought it was very important because we know that children often write before they read in Montessori. So we know the power of writing.
Yes. Yeah, I loved the sequence that you did of, because I said this last night, I'm not a trained Montessorian. I learn so much every day. And I loved the sequence of the triangles and the tracing, and like, it was so obvious how the hand strength and the motion develops in writing as students go through these different progressions. And I loved that. So
I just have one comment about it. This is just a tip. I mentioned it in the presentation, but I'll mention it again. When you have your prepared environment, I recommend, or I feel it's really useful to have the language area in the middle of the classroom, because all you're doing in language is pronunciation. You say you're rhyming and you're saying the beginning sounds, and then you're segmenting. And if you have it in the middle of the classroom, children that are in around you are going to hear you, and they're definitely going to pick up what you're doing in there. So I recommend having the language avenue right in the middle of the classroom so everybody can hear what you're doing.
that's such a good idea. It makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that, I mean, we could keep talking. I have a million more questions. And I love hearing from this group of people. You guys are also well-spoken and well-informed and experts in your field. So if you want to hear more from them, watch their presentations if you haven't yet. Check out some of the links I sent, and we have lots of resources on our website. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Does anyone have anything else they want to add or say before I say goodnight to everyone? Melinda, you look like you have something to say.
I'm just saying thank you. I'm just so happy to be a part of this discussion, and I really am so appreciative of this opportunity to share with you all in this journey of.
Yes, well, we're grateful to you for joining us. Absolutely.
I keep thinking about, Melinda, what you just said about when just put your hand to your heart, and that resets everybody. And so I thought that would be way to send everybody off. Just put your hand on your heart.
Yeah, and a smile on your face.
Smile.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely
you.
evening. And if you're watching at home or you're watching a replay, I hope you enjoy. Feel free to comment with any questions, and we'll answer them for you. So, goodbye.
Thank you.